Welcome to our webinar. We're going to be introducing, or we're introducing Cynet to our visitors here. I have a long history with them before they were as big as they are now. It was a small development team, so I was involved early on in their struggles back in 2016, 2017. So they've come a long way. I just want to make a note that I was just recently at a conference, the B-Sides, and it was a policy village that we were in. We were talking about different policies, government policies, how we're trying to make things better. And then a topic came up about the castle requirements where you have to report any type of breach. Anything that lands on a computer that you didn't give explicit consent to, you have to document. So part of this process, you'll see all the reporting and the logging and everything else, which will help you maintain your compliance with castle requirements, and also may also include criminal liabilities for people that install software without your explicit permission. And there's some rules, and I will share later. I'll share later the links to the websites for Castle and the Criminal Code of Canada, so you can see what your obligations are, what you have to do. So first, I'd like to introduce Griffin. He's a rep, and Somer is a technical lead on this. So Griffin, take it away, and I'm going to mute and kill my audio and my video.
Awesome. Thanks, Victor. Appreciate everyone jumping on today. My name is Griffin Aldrich. I'm one of the sales reps over here at Cynet. Had the pleasure of working with Victor, Renee, and the CSC team. So thanks again for everyone jumping on today. This is going to be led by one of our sales engineer, Somer Hernandez. He has a screen shared right now, and I will actually be in the chat and Q&A section. So if you have any questions as Somer is walking through the dash, throw them in there, and I'll do my best to answer everything. Over to you, Somer. Oops, Somer, did we lose you? Give Somer 1 second. I think he's just getting.
I have an error receiving video error on my end. I'm just going to see if I can turn his camera off.
Joys of technology, everybody.
Well, at least it's not Monday.
Yeah, right.
We had such problems with Teams on Monday, and then I get an alert that Microsoft had an outage.
Hello, folks. Can you hear me okay now, Griffin?
Yeah. Okay, we got you.
Check that.
Awesome. Well, Somer's getting set up. I already see a question in the chat. So all pricing conversations will go through CSC. So I see it through your cell phone in there. That's awesome. CSC team will follow up with you, and they can send you over some pricing regarding the two offerings that Cynet has today. This will be focused on all-in-one. Yep, Jorge, everything is included in that one agent, the EDR, the behavior analytics. Yeah, and we're going to cover more of the dashboard today, but if you have specific questions, I actually do have a nice slide that kind of overlays everything that's included. Not sure I can send pictures in this, but I'll give it a shot. And I think that's an easy way to kind of visualize what's included in the all-in-one package. All right, so are you in a position where you can share out your screen?
Can you hear me okay, Griffin?
Yep, I got you loud and clear.
Perfect. Ran into some technical difficulties there, of course. So let's get on here. Alrighty, folks. Can you see my screen? Can you confirm that, Griffin? Just want to make sure we're good to go.
Yep, that's coming through on my end.
Awesome. Great. So again, folks, sorry you have a little late start here. So really kind of want to open with, we really realized that cybersecurity is obviously complex. And interesting enough, if we can remove some of that complexity, we actually get higher effectiveness. So, the Cynet platform was built from the ground up. It's natively integrated with crucial security technologies you need in a single, unified, easy to use platform. We've also automated most routine tasks for you, kind of really removing that burden off your shoulders. And we couple the offering with a 24/7 MDR service to provide you continuous monitoring and expert advice at no additional cost. So don't let the simplicity and elegance that I'm about to show you demo fool you, but we did a lot of the heavy lifting for you so you can have a highly effective threat protection product. So let's dig into it. So typically the way I like to start this is what would be the deployment kind of initial day one phase. So looking at the platform, you're looking at our all-in-one dashboard. So the first thing we're going to want to do is click on the install button here on the bottom left-hand corner. And we have a Cynet package where we support all of your major flavors of operating systems. So Windows, Linux, and Mac. And what's really neat is you can actually push the agent without requiring a system reboot, thereby kind of really having not too much impact when it comes from an operational perspective, right? A lot of users don't like that you interrupt them to install software. So it's really nice that you can actually push Cynet out without rebooting the system, and same thing for the uninstall. Now the system comes pre-configured, pre-set up. So we'll look at how we break that out. So you can assign the environment into groups. So you can break out maybe a secretaries group, an engineers group, managers group, and so forth. And if we go into one of those groups, you'll see the policies that are set here and all the different protection mechanisms that we have for you on the left-hand side. Now, as mentioned, it's set to best practice, but you also have the ability to go in and make additional changes or configuration options. So as an example, if we look at agent settings, we automatically set it up so that we're automatically healing and updating the agent, but you can choose to turn that off. You also have the option to display a systray icon to the user so that they can run off their own scans, even if they're not an admin. You also, of course, have the ability to enable the rollback functionality where we're performing routine backups on those critical files in the system. And then in case of a ransomware, you can go ahead and also roll back the system as well. So that capability is there. The next piece that we'll go ahead and do is we'll probably jump into our integrations page here. And what we're going to look at is start to integrate some of the SaaS applications that you have throughout your environment. So as an example, you can select on Office and we'll populate the integration menu, and we can collect logs for you, and we can also enable the email protection mechanism. This is API based. So all you have to do is literally click the toggle here and provide the admin credentials for that Office tenant for us to pull in that information. From there, your setup is pretty much done, right? So jumping back over to the all-in dashboard, start to dig into a few of these areas here shortly. So looking at the first two blocks, the endpoint protection, the user network exception technologies, those are automatically pre-configured and set up as mentioned, and we can start to trigger off some of the alerts that we're seeing throughout the environment. So let's dig into one as an example. So we'll go into this alert, and you'll see we'll be pivoted into the alert screen. And the way that you read this is from left to right. So we have the malicious binary, the file that was involved, the host, the user, the time that it occurred, and then any automation that occurred in this scenario. You can see that we actually did a block and rename on this malicious file. And we can also dig in further to get information around the process tree and all the metadata that was captured at the time of the event. We also include the path, the hash value. Our threat research team, they're actually curating several threat feeds for you to ensure high fidelity. But the one that's readily available for you is VirusTotal. So we automatically extrapolate the hash, and you can click on the VT link and start to get additional context around that file. Now, when we looked at automation, we really looked at it across two verticals. One of them is the automated response that the system is doing for you, right? But another area that we found a lot of value in is actually automating the investigation itself. So the tool will automatically extrapolate artifacts that are triggered within an alert and threat hunt off of them so that the analyst that starts to look at this alert, they have all the contextual information that they need to make a determination if something really truly is effective as far as from a response side or what this particular malware is doing. So the way that this reads is from the investigation block. You can see that several steps are occurring here. And you can see the finding section where we're finding those potential malicious files across the environment. And then towards the bottom, we have the automated response piece, which is the quarantine. Now, some things that would happen here automatically as well is that you would receive an email alert of the alert itself, right? So this comes into your email. It's very structured. You can actually pivot from the email alert into the Cynet console as well. But you have the high-level summary included. So the things that probably we care about at this point in time, if we're on the go, is did it remediate and was it successful? However, we do provide all the context if you have time to scroll through during whether you're between a meeting or you're in front of your machine, you'll have all the context right here at your fingertips. Now, on the back end, the team will start to work on writing up an incident response report. Now, this incident response report will include a wealth of information, such as an executive summary, just providing the highlights of what occurred, as well as a full MITRE attack flow. So really highlighting the specific tactics, techniques, and procedures that were noted. And then towards the bottom, you can see a full malware analysis. So how does this malware work? How did it propagate in the environment? Did it perform lateral movement? These are all the questions that the team is answering in the report. We'll also include threat intelligence. So really looking at if this is a widespread malware, we can include that context as well. And you can see that the report is extremely detailed. And as we scroll down a bit here, we can see the Cynet actions that are taken. So the analysts analyzed the infected host, they blocked the user, isolated the infected host, and they actually malware. And you can see here that they recommended having remediation on. So more than likely during this incident, the remediation piece was not turned on. You also have the recommendations. So the indicators of compromise will also be included in the report. So you can utilize for threat hunting on the other security appliances that your organization is invested into, or also just to take that additional step. So in this case, potentially blocking these at the firewall perimeter level. So all of this context comes together with that automated response. So let's jump back over to the main console and dig into a few more areas. So when we made those integrations, we were able to see the various different services that we had. So we can dig into some of these. So right from the all-in-one dashboard, let's click on this infrastructure security setting. And let's see what services are integrated and what are some of the loopholes we want to start to close. So here on the left-hand side, you'll have the different services that have been integrated into the platform, along with the risk severity levels across those SaaS applications. Towards the bottom, we'll have all the various different open issues that need to be addressed. And better yet, we thought of that too. We give you the ability to apply fixes directly from within the console. Once you've applied the fix, we'll actually monitor changes moving forward to avoid configuration drift, which is very common across these various different SaaS applications. Now, let's go ahead and pivot back over to the overview screen here. The next one is email security. So when we established our integration with the Office tenant, not only did we pull down logs and how the environment is configured, but we're also enabling uh, scanning of the email, right? So this is inbound traffic, it's API based, and these are the various different protected categories that we're covering. Now, jumping into the email security menu, we can see all the different malicious emails that were tagged. So here we can dig in further and we can see even the reason for why it was tagged. So here we have a phishing link. And the action that we decided to take here was that it's quarantine. There's different options that you can enable, but out of the box, of course, we thought of that too. We have a best practice set for you. But if you wanted to tweak these, you can, and you can set your own policies based on your organizational requirements. Now, jumping back over, we're going to start to look at XDR alerts. So this is a very expanding area for various different technologies. And the idea is to be able to provide threat visibility and response to third-party tools. So with Cynet, we have you covered. We can ingest your Office 365 logs, give you information around potential malicious activity, and we can also do that maybe across your other security appliances, such as a firewall. So maybe looking for a brute force attempt over SSL VPN. So there's a lot of different attack techniques that are occurring on the perimeter side that's becoming an increasing attack vector. And that's an area that we can gain visibility into. So we can ingest your third-party data sources, and we have different data packages that you can subscribe to. So that would be a 30, 60, 90, or indefinite data retention options that we have to help you meet your compliance requirements. The last piece that we're touching on here is our SOAR platform. So this is the security orchestration and automated response portion of Cynet, where not only are we providing the alert context, but we can also help you build out playbooks. So we can automate the response on these third-party tools. So not only are we responding on what's happening at the endpoint, but if we see some activity happening in your office environment or on your firewall, we can help you build out the playbooks. And the best part is that there's no additional cost for that. We work with you to help build out these workflows. So that's kind of a high-level overview of the Cynet cybersecurity platform. And as you can see, we're covering from endpoints, networks, user, email, SaaS and cloud. We cover it all, and it's with a MITRE proven results that really speak to the efficacy of our threat detection and response capabilities. Here at Cynet, we make cybersecurity possible. Thank you for your time, and we hope to see you on the other side. So with that, I want to give it back over to our team so we can help answer additional questions during the presentation.
Thank you very much. Griffin, you want to take over?
Sure. Yeah, let me jump back in here. We did have a good amount of questions here, so thank you everyone for throwing those in the chat. I was able to answer a few, and then there were a few that popped up as I was furiously typing over here. The one's more on the commercial side. So Jorge, SaaS versus hosted on-prem. We do have an on-prem version, but I would say 99% of our partners are leveraging the SaaS deployment method. As opposed to where the call centers are. So your relationship would be through Cybersecurity Canada. So they would be your first call, and then we would be working with them for any additional steps that need to take, and they are located in Canada. O365 feature for email scanning, that's included with all-in-one. And I think the only one I have to defer to Somer on is how long does it take to apply the fix within the SaaS and Cloud Posture Management tool? So do you know if there is an interval on when those two applications are communicating? Is there a standard time frame on when that remediation will have taken place?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent question. So we're continuously scanning the SaaS environments that you've integrated. As far as the fix, you should see the change apply honestly, within a few seconds. Really, we're just waiting for the results to come back. So I would say within a minute, tops two, that change should be applied.
Thank you. It works for Windows, Linux, and Mac. We do have a supported OS outline that I can throw in the chat in a second here. You are able to, as an MSP, manage multiple clients, so multi-tenancy is built in there. And I think that gets us more or less all the way caught up. So I guess last call for questions. I think that's a lot of what we wanted to cover, Victor, unless there was a few more pieces that you wanted to touch on. We can give everyone another minute or two to throw questions in if they have any. But I think more or less that's what we wanted to touch on today.
Yeah, so is anyone interested in seeing a little bit deeper dive into any of the controls that exist there? Well, there's some functionality that was not looked at, like the endpoint security, the vulnerability analysis of the applications installed on the system. Could we do a quick look at that for the endpoints? Summer? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so much here. We could go into a rabbit hole. Let's for us,
Exactly.
it's a top of mind for us because of what we do.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of just to kind of give a quick overview, but absolutely, we want to dig into the areas that I think that the folks here are finding most interesting, and we can, showcase them. So just to touch on some of the endpoint pieces. So I think a lot of what we touch on is like the deployment and some of the reactive areas that Cynet is already building in. But there is a proactive side of things, right, to security, right? So what are you doing to harden the environment? What are you doing to improve the IT hygiene and patching and so forth? So I think we can look at it from that perspective as well. So the first one being misconfigurations. So when you deploy the agent, we're actually looking at your workstations and servers, and essentially were these systems, when they were initially provisioned, was security in mind? And we know that most often than not, they're not, right? So those are some of the things that we're looking for here. So we'll actually showcase how you can help improve kind of your security score throughout the environment. So here as an example, ensuring the configured solicited remote assistance is set to disabled. That's the default recommended value. If we open that, we can actually show you a little bit more details on how you can make that correction. We'll obviously show some MITRE techniques. So what techniques could be used to exploit this misconfiguration? And we also attach industry references as well, right? So it's not just Cynet kind of pointing this out. These are well documented industry references that recommend this setting, in this case, to be disabled. If you want to look at what those endpoints are, we can. So we can pivot into the screen here, and you can see essentially which systems are potentially misconfigured. We also do this for vulnerabilities. So when you deploy that agent, we're collecting a wealth of information, including the application inventory of that asset. So essentially, what applications are installed, what version are they on, and are there vulnerabilities that are noted in the national vulnerability database? So, for instance, in this first one, we have Microsoft OneDrive. If we open this a bit, we'll show you what the kind of high level detail of the vulnerability, and we can go into the view to show you which particular endpoints are vulnerable and which ones have been patched. So you'll have that here. And then we also provide the reference link. So where are we pulling this in from? So we'll give you the NIST pivot point, where you can go ahead and research additional information about that vulnerability and how it can be used, and of course, patching. Okay. So that covers kind of the vulnerability piece of it. Another piece that we didn't touch on is how we kind of wrap everything up into a report. So everything that you're seeing here, we have some automated reports so that you can start to build out a plan of how you plan to essentially patch and improve and harden the environment. So our most sought after report is our executive report, and it gives you some pretty good high levels. So essentially, what are some of the alerts that triggered? what were the top MITRE techniques found. So you can see like phishing and spear phishing and so forth. You can see how the environment was configured, so the level of automation that was leveraged out of the box, a little bit of information of how you configured your security settings, and then some more detail around the alerts that triggered within the time span that you ran the report, and any automation actions or common remediation actions that were leveraged throughout this cycle. We'll also show you, depending on how you deployed your assets, which groups are kind of your trouble users, right? So which groups within the organization are triggering the most amount of alerts. And we also break that down to the user level, right? So maybe you can explore training opportunities or cyber awareness training with those particular users. We'll show you unauthorized applications that could be running an environment. So this can be policy set. So if your organization, for example, allows TeamViewer or an organization doesn't, then you can actually have a list where we'll show which assets are out of policy and they will show up in this report. We'll show you unpatched applications, which systems are missing Windows updates, and then we get into the email security side, where we're providing a little bit more context around email scanned, threats prevented, malicious attachments or malicious URLs. Who are your most attacked users? Interesting enough, you'll find it's typically a C-level person, which kind of shows you, based on their LinkedIn profile and footprint, they're being targeted. So that could be an area that you can start to explore to provide additional training. And you can see the various different protected categories that are covered, right? So any other questions or another area here, Victor, you think we should dig into that you think will be relevant to the folks?
Maybe a little bit of the forensics, of
Sure.
what you can see on a system.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so from a forensic perspective, as mentioned, we do collect a wealth of data. So once you deploy that agent, we're collecting information on the files, the host, users, domains, sockets, and so forth. And really, the way that we approach it is to make things easy for you. So on top of the automated response, we want to make forensic easy as well. We don't want you to learn complex queries, which is why we've made everything really point and click based. So here you'll have a timeline here at the top. And then in the center, you'll have everything relevant to the asset. So I clicked on a host, and essentially the host becomes the anchor position, if you will, in this environment. And we're showing you all the files, the users, the network data that we have for this particular host, but you can easily pivot your way around and change your perspective. So for instance, if I wanted to look at this particular DLL, the DLL now becomes the anchor position, and I can see what users and what hosts have an interaction with this DLL, right? So it becomes very interesting to be able to look at this data in different perspectives. Towards the bottom, we'll show you here like system info details, all the alerts that have so far that are open with this particular host assigned, all the files that have been scanned, and you'll notice that there's risk scores associated with these entity types, and that's really designed to help drive your attention as you're looking in the platform, right? So essentially, this blue color, like you expect, gives you a warm and fuzzies. So it's more of just an informative score. As this color changes into an orange, amber color into red, it kind of starts to indicate that there it could be potentially something going on there that you may want to investigate further. Okay. So as all the files are coming in and being scanned, you'll notice we're also including a VT score across them. And you'll notice that we're doing the same thing across users, login information, the network traffic, and system details. So a wealth of information is at your fingertips that you can investigate and explore, and it's a click away, right? You also have the ability to create more advanced searches as well, right? So if you click on the advanced, you have various different display field types that you can start to search in the platform, and you can even create policies around these data points. So you can trigger your own alerts if there's something specific that you could be concerned with. So as an example, let's take a look at, for example, where SSH, right? SSH maybe is not common in our environment. So if that ever were to come up, you may want to be alerted to it. So what we can do is we can create local port equal to 22, which is SSH, or maybe this is RDP, so 3389 as an example, and I can save a policy, RDP detected, and then I can choose its own risk score associated with that, and I can open an alert and choose the severity that that alert should come in as. And anytime an RDP connection is detected, I can receive an alert, and then we can even tie an automated response to that. So such as isolating that system automatically. So this is kind of starting to get into some of the deeper areas of the platform, but as you can see, it's extremely powerful and extremely easy to use.
So, when could you go back to the forensics
Sure,
and open up a device that we had before,
sure.
the host?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, here with logging, again, someone mentioned about a DLP question in here. The software doesn't do DLP, but it does allow you to monitor who touched what. So in the file monitor, you basically turn on logging and it's all coordinated here. So if something were to get lost, you do have a history of it. So it's not quite data loss because it's a challenge to implement and maintain any type of system that does data loss prevention. But here it shows it'll give you too much information. So you'd have to narrow down exactly what you want for certain types of files, which leads us to the UBA side of things.
Mhm.
Can we go into show the configuration for the UBA?
Yeah, so we have there's two sides to the UBA piece. One of them are like specific conditions that you could be looking for. And then there is the backend UBA. So we have some user behavior analytics that's built into the backend portion of the tool that's managed by threat research. So you would just get elevated alerts to you. And then we provide you different options here. So this is the configuration side. So you can set it based off of a particular user action, an application action, and you can even tie it to text messaging, as you can see here, to the user. So you can confirm that they're actually doing that particular activity. So as an example, let's say you have a doctor's office, they're a 9 to 5 shop. You can set up a user behavior rule that if you detect a login post, let's say like a Saturday or post office hours, it will actually text the user and confirm that they're actually performing that action. If they respond within the predefined time, then you can suppress the alert, or you can go ahead and trigger an alert and then trigger a response. So in this particular case, doctor's logging on Saturday. Maybe it's uncommon for him to do that. He doesn't respond fast enough, or he says no, it isn't him. Then you can automatically trigger a response where we'll go ahead and isolate that user or host. So those are some options that you have available on the UBA side.
So also the honey traps.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we do have essentially the honeypot technology, which is our decoying technology, where once you've deployed out the system, there is a best practice that's set for these. But of course, you have the ability to adjust these further, right? So out of the box, I'll turn it on here, but you'll see which systems have decoy in this environment. So all of the systems that we deployed as a best practice already have decoys built in. And again, it's really designed to help decrease your attack surface, alert us to something that could be happening in the environment. And then we also have the ability to generate decoy hosts. So you can see here, we have some decoy hosts in the environment that are highlighted in orange. And the idea would be to have an attacker interact with those particular decoy hosts, which can give us an indication, again, that something could potentially be happening in the environment.
So can you just quickly show the files and the we can control the network. We can create a honey trap network that people could attempt to join, and also the files.
Yeah,
the-
that's correct. Yeah, you can. So we do have some pre-built decoy users, files, and network hosts. But absolutely, you can come in here and create your own decoy. So you can see some of the ones that are just pre-built out of the box. So these would be deployed during that best practice setting. But absolutely, you can tweak these and make it mimic the environment that it's in. Right. So if it's a hospital or a doctor, maybe you want to have decoy files that are maybe more HIPAA related, right, to that industry, and absolutely you can create those and tweak the existing ones that we have.
We've seen alerts with people pulling decoys and then opening them up at a remote location, usually home.
Yeah, yeah, you'll find those too. We call them our Snoopy users sometimes, where they'll find that the user could find the decoy file, and then they pull it and interact with it. Right, so that's why it's always good if you have a decoy that triggers that you follow up with that particular user. Um, and yeah, absolutely. If in the event that the decoy was pulled from a specific host, within the alert will show you the IP address that came in from and what host that decoy was pulled from. So you have a good amount of detail around that as well.
I can't think of anything right now.
No, no worries. Yeah. There's kind of it's like peeling back the onion, right? There's a lot of different areas and technologies that we're including natively. It's all, as you can see, everything's fully integrated. Um, but with that, we wanted to decouple the complexity, which is why all of these technologies that we went through, whether it's on the endpoint side, whether it's the antivirus, whether it's the decoying, the UBA, all of that is kind of pre-configured and set up for you, but still giving you the ability to tweak and adjust those as necessary.
Okay, I think we gave everyone enough info. Well, unless they have more questions. Are there any more questions coming in? Degradation of hardware when using what? Okay, so these are things that Griffin.
Yeah, I responded back to that, just looking for sort of what performance metrics you'd be looking for. I think most of that is usually accomplished by an RMM tool, which we're not going to be a full replacement for today. But if you do have some specific metrics, happy to review and see what we can do. Like Victor said, this demo could have been 6 hours long with everything that we can do. So I urge anyone that has some interest to reach out to the email address that Renee threw in the chat. And we'd love to set up a specific end user demo. We can tailor it to what your current situation is, answer any specific technical questions, and see if there's a good fit here.
And we can also provision very quickly a proof of concept. So a demo environment that you can test and attack and kill and whatever. So we can provision that in, I don't know, within an hour if we have all the information, maybe less. So if you want to see it in action, just reach out to Renee. Her email address is in here, and I hope everyone can see it. And we could set it up for you, and you can have a party with it. So I think, okay, so I think that's about it. I don't see any more. Oh no, thank you. I'll talk. Okay, that. Oh yeah, this is it's a hardware. It can be both, but it is a cloud solution. But there is an on-prem for potentially for organizations that need all their data to stay within Canada. This is you can have the on-prem and everything is centrally managed, and it's the same technology. Everything's the same except the core infrastructure is local. So but it works. Like everyone is using it in the cloud right now. And we actually started with the on-prem years ago, back in 2017, 2018. So that was a fun process. Okay, so SaaS, yeah, SaaS is more popular. So I think that's about it. So I can give you all back your pre-lunch and extend your lunch. So it's 10:42, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to Renee. And I don't know, if you did I push the links for the reporting?
Yeah, you did broadcast to all those. Were in there a little bit earlier.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. So thank you, everyone. And again, we appreciate the attendance and the questions. And we'll see you guys on the other side. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.